video. Yeah, Bloodfields. Now, I'm making this part of this video today because I want to get on with this. I was not aware, really, of Bloodfields. I kind of like stuck in my own bubble of B&B and Just Dread for the last kind of like goodness knows how many months. I was given a set, the Bloodfields starter set, at Salute 52. Bloodfields is made by Titan Forge, and I see it's been around for a little while. They've done a number of kind of Kickstarters at different times, and there's stuff been on my mini factory. And I was given a set of this and asked if I would do some videos with it, and actually diving into it, and just one of the factions alone, the beast-shaped tribe that comes in the starter set was enough to make my wife Heidi think, oh, she'd quite like to play that, and have a go at painting those figures. So I'm delighted to be able to do this, and I think we're going to have a look at different Bloodfield factions as we go and make some scenery and bits and pieces for it as well. So I just thought what we'd do today is have a look at the stuff that I got at Salute, and then I'm probably going to put this onto, then I'm going to stop and we'll paint the figures so we can start playing straight away. Shouldn't be too difficult. There are only 8, but this is famous last word, so who knows when this will actually come out. I'm going to aim to do it pretty soon. So there's the 8 figures in the starter set. There's a battle board, which I'm going to undo in a moment. I believe it's double-sided because it goes with another game they do called Grid Wars, although that looks kind of cyberpunky, so that might work for Just Dread as well. And in this box there's a bunch of resin terrain as well. We'll have a look. So, and some Bloodfields dice. It looks like Bloodfields is the kind of game that uses its own specific dice set as well. So, let's move the camera, put it above the desk, and have a look at what we get in the starter set. Okay, so this is the Bloodfields starter set. This was what was being sold at Salute 52 at the XL, and I was given a set of. Thanks, Rhys. So let's check this out. Let's open this up. There are 2 warbands in here. As Rhys described this game to me as, imagine you've got a D&D group party and they meet another D&D party and they kind of end up fighting each other. See what happens. So the 2 warbands are Vampire Hunters and Blood-Shaped Tribe. Now I don't know a lot about this game at the moment from a fluff point of view and what's going on background, so I'm going to be intrigued to do that. And I've already, as you can see, taken these figures out of the baggies that they came in. So they are nice printed resin figures, but they're kind of slightly flexible. I don't think they're going to shatter like some resin does. You also get in here some double-sided counters that are punched and some Bloodfields cards. I have no idea what these do in the game yet, and I'm not interested in those for a minute. I'm just going to look at the figures. The important bit is I want to get on and paint the figures. So from that point of view, turn this around here. So the first set of figures are called Witch Hunters. They partly follow the kind of like stereotypical witch hunter aesthetic these days. Big pointy hats and the like. Let's see if we can zoom in on these a little bit. There are 4. They're nicely detailed, not hugely overcluttered. There's this kind of priest kind of guy with a smoking censer and a very kind of like Russian Orthodox kind of hat. Got to be, by the look of it, the leader of this group. Then on top of that there is, I think that's a male witch hunter, big tall, typical witch huntery hat, a big sword. Nice, yeah, the sword's a bit wobbly, a bit bendy, but actually a suitable amount of detail. Not too cluttered, I won't mind drawing that. Painting on that. There's a witch hunter warrior S with a ridiculous double-headed axe. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantasy game, which is fine, but that kind of weapon does do my head in because it would just be completely unwieldable. But you know, she looked pretty cool. Got knives attached to her legs and a little pouch at her waist, and a cloak and like that might be fun to paint. And then another female character with some kind of pistol with some kind of bayonet / stake shooting thing and a flambard sword. Boots, hat, coat, yeah, nice. So they're all right. I quite like those, and we'll end up painting those because we want to get this faction going. I want to try this game out, and then this is the beast-shaped tribe, and the headline stealer here is definitely this rhino. Let's lift him up on the box. Actually, look. Ridiculous right now. I believe these are exclusive designs. These characters appear, you can get them from Bloodfields, from Titan Forge individually, but they're different pose. So you've got this great big Rhino dude. He's wearing some armour, nice shaped shield, and a great big warhammer, which is pretty cool. There's a guy here who looks a bit kind of were-beasty. He's not actually, he's mostly human. I think this is the leader. Dual wielding warhammers. Yeah, not very practical, but heavily armoured. It'll be a bit of fun to paint. Plus then a hyena character. Again, nice big sword. I think actually this guy and the rhino guy were the ones that Heidi immediately took a like to. And looking on the Titan Forge website, there's a mammoth dude and a warthog guy and a number of wolves and various other bits and pieces. It's a funky looking faction. And here is the fourth figure is kind of like feline, live moving cat type. So a nice pose. I think that's sprue there that needs to come off on a knee. Pretty cool. And you get a set of sculpted bases. I'm going to be guessing really who goes on what base, but these are mostly 30mm, and that one's a 40mm base. So I'm guessing the Rhino dude goes on the 40mm base because he's big sized. I locate a peg on the bottom of the model on their foot, and that just slots nicely, he says, hopefully into the base. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And that'll stick down. So that is a very brief overlook at the models, and I've done that because I want to get these undercoated and painted as soon as we can. It'll be a laugh. Heidi's really keen to paint these I call them bad guys. I don't know why I think they're bad guys. They're not necessarily bad guys. I have no idea what they're like at the moment. But we're very keen to paint those and get them to the point where we can play. So that's kind of cool. But while I'm here, let's take a look at the other things that we got in the starter bundle. Okay, that's the figures based. Now, it was interesting. It says here on the corner, easy to build. And to some extent that is true, because certainly these figures in the starter set are all one-piece prints or casts, or however they're made. So they are pretty easy to build. The only thing you have to do is attach them to the bases. It's worth pointing out that actually I think these figures come out, they're really clean. They don't require any cleaning up. There's virtually no mould lines or layer lines or whichever way they're done. So you can get on, spray these and paint these straight away. It's also worth noting, I think, that not as much attention is paid to the base as it is to the figure. So whilst they are supposedly easy to assemble, because all we've got to do is stick the figure to the base, if you're using the pegs on the bottom of the feet, which is worthwhile doing, you either have to trim most of the pegs to fit the holes, or make the holes wider to fit the pegs, which for an experienced gamer like me only took a few moments, but it was kind of annoying. The other thing is that the hole is offset, right, of centre, which works for some figures really well, and it doesn't matter, they're really nicely positioned. So the Rhino dude right in the centre of it, and some of these figures it doesn't matter where they're offset because it's a great big figure. This guy goes right across the whole base. For this lass, it's a bit weird because the peg is on a right foot, which means the axe hangs over the side of the base and isn't well centred on the base. But apart from that, they're alright, they're okay. So I'm going to leave those to glue. The details are, yeah, see I'm having to trim up the bottom of the bases. There's flash and whatever and mould lines, and I'm having to trim up the bottom of the bases so they're not quite as wobbly. But the bases are nicely sculpted. I don't need to do anything to the bases to base them up, add extra detail. I could use them completely as is. So I'm going to let the glue just go off on that, and then I'm going to get them undercoated so we can paint them as quickly as we can. This is the high quality double-sided gaming board. I don't know if this is the right angle to have a look at this, but let's just undo the wrap on this. It's in a neat little box. Of course, this is a really great way. It's cool that companies do this kind of thing nowadays to get you started. You know, gamer like me, I like to make my own boards anyway. I'm hoping we might end up making a couple of boards for Titan Forge. Also, one of those cardboard boxes that's really difficult to keep in good nick when you open it up. Right, here we go. Let's slide this out if we can. Doesn't want to come out of the box. Never, always a good sign, mate. Never a good sign. I don't know. There we go. So, box, keep it in. It's then its own sealed bag as well. I don't know if that's actually necessary. I suppose you could keep the sealed bag and not the box, or keep the box and not the sealed bag. In this day of sustainability and environmental friendly, if it's in a cardboard box, does it need to be in a plastic bag as well? Yeah, it's just one for you to consider. Both at Titan Forge. I don't think it does. Nice. It's got Bloodfields on one corner. Opens up double. These squares. Let's just get a ruler out real quick. Each square bit is, in old money, 10 inches, so 25 centimetre squares. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. How does that unfold? 1, 2, 3. I'm unfolding the wrong side. 4. So you get a rectangular playing board. That is 75 centimetres that way, and it's got to be 50 centimetres that way, which I'm assuming works perfectly well with the 8 figures that go in the game. You've got grass and rocky bits, and some uncovered flagstones and bits and pieces, and a bit of a roadway over here. Where are we? Let's move the camera around. So we've got a roadway up the top here, and it's alright. It's quite a nice little thing. And on the other side, it's got a kind of like cyberpunky kind of thing with a hexagonal grid laid out on it, which I take it is used for the playing of Grid Wars, hence the name. But that might be kind of cool as well. But you know, so it's a double. It's quite neat because it's a double-sided kind of like thing. Folds up nicely, easy to put away. So nice little gaming accessory. And then game dice. I'm not going to bother getting them out. Some have definitely got symbols on them, skulls and banners and stuff, shields. So I'm taking it they work in, you know, unique to the game. And then this is quite a heavy box. This I quite like. What we got? We've got several baggies. Just a set of trees here, by the looks of it. Which I can't get to the bag. The base, and 1, 2, 3 slots to take tree trunks. Oh, they're nice. And then a load of branches. Although there's only a piece. Oh no, one's a little bush. Look. One's a little bush. Is going to go in one like that. And then there are 2 tree trunks, which has got individual branches you're going to put on, and whether they are then kind of like act as a. Or that can be a. Well, there's nice. Okay, look at that. That's cool. There's a little stump there that you can replace, I suppose, where you've had a tree cut down. That's kind of neat. And then you've got these branches you stick on one way or another. And I'm imagining then you could go to town with kind of like foliage and stuff. That's kind of cool. Again, the base, you know, needs a bit of a trim around the bottom where it's been printed, but that's no big deal at all. So. Quite like that. So there's a bag like that. There's a second, by the looks of it, identical bag. So 2 tree wood based cards. Here we've got a nice printed floor, and then bits of ruined window, broken barrel, windowsill and stuff. I can't immediately see how these relate to that, or whether this is just whether this is just kind of all just ruins. I'm gonna have to investigate this a little bit on the site, but they're quite nice. They'll make nice walls and bits of cover and what have you. Again, need a little bit of trimming. Oh, there's the odd kind of detail on the floor, smashed up. There's a sword and some beakers and a meat cleaver. So yeah, I mean that's so that's quite interesting. So I'm going to bung all that back in that bag there for a minute. And there looks like there's another one of those. So there's 2 bits of ruin in here. Clearly enough to get you going. Yeah, that's the exact same set, 2 of those. And then what we got here? It's in there good and tight. I don't think this bag is going to survive, to be honest. It looks like a gable end. This must be across these 2 bags. No, that's no good. Bag's gone. It's gone. It's out of here. Big fat roof by the looks of things. Alright, okay, so 2 of those, and then if I combine that, I suppose, with the contents of this bag. There's a house with a door, windows, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, okay, so these wooden bits here are corner sections, by the looks of things. Door, got a wall. Okay, so you could probably do like door, window. There's only 6 wall sections, so it's got to be all the same building. Door, wall, window, window, wall. Alright, so it gives you a basic looking building. There are bits there that clearly on the back of the roof sections could be cut out maybe and turned into used for dormer windows or that kind of thing. The walls are made to take that. It's a bit chunky, but you know what? To get you going from a gameplay point of view, in no time at all, I'm thinking you could be up and running with this. Okay, so there's a beam there which is built to support the roof. So there are corner beam sections and there are mid beam sections which then join your 2 bits of wall together. And in no time at all, and with a little bit of cunning work, you can make a nice looking building out of that. That will get you playing this game super quick. So I'm going to do a little feature making this and seeing what we can do with it. And then play this game. Right. So, Bloodfields is going to be something that we're going to investigate in the early summer 2025. Watch this space. Yeah, nice. Not quite sure what these 2 little bits are for, unless they're for... Oh, no, they're for, by the looks of things, locking together. Walls? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I know, I see. It's designed to hold the ridge, maybe. But then we've got a gable end to do that. All right, okay. It's going to be fun putting this together. So that's the starter set for Bloodfields. You've got your 2 factions, 2 little warbands. I've got a board to play it on, and I've got some basic scenery, which I'm going to have a bit of fun playing with, putting together and see what it looks like. I'm kind of thinking that the Magrathea Builder Worlds thing's going to have to kick in, and I'm going to have to go out making some more scenery to go with this, and we might make the odd interesting board as well. We'll see what other factions we get. I need to get fluff. I need to get an idea of what this world is like and kind of like get an understanding of how things work before I really start building. But I've certainly got enough here to start to play. I've got 2 ruin buildings, another whole building. I'm going to have to work a way of taking the roof off because I hate buildings that are just lumps of just blocks of stuff getting away, and 2 interesting looking woods. So that's enough to be getting on with. I'm going to get the 2 factions of the 8 figures undercoated as quick as we can, and we get painting those so we can get playing with them. And if it's a game that I can play with my wife at home, that's kind of cool, because it's been some time since she's done a lot of tabletop gaming, but she instantly saw these figures and thought, wow, cool, I want to do this. So that's kind of neat. So watch this space. There's more Bloodfields to come. This bit is definitely going to go on our experiences putting the rest together. But I had to film this today because I want to get on and paint them. So I'm working on the scenery for Bloodfields. This is the house that came in that starter bundle. Now it's got 2 roof sections, which you could probably stick together as 1 roof section. And I don't know if it's supposed to kind of like stick solidly together and just be an obstacle. It doesn't seem like it should, because it's got these kind of like completely open windows. But then there's absolutely no detailing on the inside. I've got to say, I did not enjoy putting this together. You look at it at first glance, and there are bits that look like they should go together fairly easily. There are little nubs and little holes, mortises and tenons on the various bits to hold it in place, and you've got joins. We had when we undid this, we had 6, basically 2, 4, 6 wall sections. You could put on in any order, which gives you a bit of variation, I suppose. It's a weird resin that it's made from. I don't know what the materials are, I'm no expert, but it's kind of weird. The nubs, the mortises and the tenons didn't fit in the way it's cast or printed or whatever it is, and some of the actual sections are a little bowed. I didn't bother dropping them in boiling water and all that kind of thing, because I wanted to see what it just basically did. Looking at it, in theory, it should be a really ideal early basic starter kit, basic playable thing. Yeah, it's very chunky compared to a lot of resin kind of printed scenery. I'm sure it's going to look fine when it's painted, look great on the table. I'm at the minute going to leave off the roof, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some bits to it. A house like this needs a fireplace, needs a chimney, so I'm either going to add one on the back wall or at least add one to the roof. The way the roof joins together, there are ridge tiles, but there's a gap down the ridge that could do with being filled, I suppose. You can get figures inside it, there's absolutely no detail inside. It feels a bit flimsy, even when it's got these supporting brackets that fitted, here we go, inside the model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim up this piece of hardboard, and I'm going to stick this down for base. I think that will make it look a lot better straight away, and it will enable me to put some extra details outside, maybe put a floor on it and a fireplace and things inside it as well. Because if we're going to use it, I want it to look nice. So from that point of view, I'm just going to chamfer off the edges of this. Yeah, and I think what I'm going to aim to do, I'm either going to stick the roof together and have it all in one piece, or I might actually keep the roof in separate pieces. I want this to be an honest kind of review of this game. If I get into Bloodfields, definitely going to have to make more of my own terrain. I mean, it looks alright, you know. Hang on. It looks okay, and I'm sure by the time I've got figures on it, hang on. Two B-shaped tribe figures that my lovely wife Heidi has painted, you know, and they're not out of scale too on the rest of it. That works. Yeah, it looks alright from that point of view. Look, I mean, that's cool. And it's a basic model. I haven't even looked at how the game plays yet, so from that point of view, I don't know if it has to do anything else apart from just be stuck on the table. But I want my tabletop to look nice, so I'm going to base it. I'm going to add a kind of like a wood pile outside on one side. I think I'm going to add a chimney to the other side. That's either going to go up the back here and up under the gable, so that line up like that, and we'll see how we go from there. So let's base it up and see what we do. Okay, so. Right, the first thing I'm doing then, I haven't stuck this on the base yet, is I'm making a chimney to go on one end of the house. I'm using, at the minute, 10mm XPS foam, which I'm going to stick on the outside. It fits just inside the line of the roof here, like that. Yeah, I'm going to cut out another little bit to fit in there. What I'm actually what I'm actually going to do is I'll cut it in into bits. So I'm going to leave it so the roof is removable, but I'm going to build up a chimney on the top and probably build a fireplace inside as well. So the bricks, the stones on the bottom here chamfer out a little bit, so I'm going to just trim my blue foam, like XPS, just a little, so it runs and will sit against that. I'm just doing that by eye, it doesn't matter too much if it's not absolutely perfect, because I always fill it afterwards. Also got this kind of dado rail, for lack of a better word, phrase around there, which I could either cut out or cut the polystyrene in, so which I think I'm going to just cut the polystyrene into it. Just needs a little channel cut out on either side, and that way there, mate. Should be able to get my chimney up against it. Next thing I'll have to do is get the oldie tin foil out, texture it, and draw some stone onto it. That's the next job. Okay, so there's my little chimney stuck on. I suppose I could do with making a fireplace on the inside, but for the moment I'm not doing anything to the inside of this building until I know what the game consists of. But that's alright. I'm going to put a capstone on the top and a little kind of like hole in it. I'm going to leave that to dry. That's been stuck on with Gorilla Glue. Although I could take off the top bit. Now the next thing I've done, I used the window there to make myself a little template, and I think I'm either going to make some wooden shutters to go in the windows, because the windows are just big gaping holes, or I'm going to put some wooden uprights in them both sides. Let's turn this around this side here. So where I've got that window there at the back, I basically got a bit of thick card, drew around it, that fits in the hole. So I could use that to make shutters, which would be a bit of fun to stick on either side. It all just helps to take the basic kit and make something more of it, really, which is okay, because we have very nearly finished painting the 8 figures that are in the set. This is the first set of figures that, first time in about 25 years, my wife has looked at a set of figures going, oh, I want to paint those. So she's painted the B-shaped figures, doing the last one as we speak, and I've done the Vampire Hunters. We'll have a look at those in a moment, but and she wants to play, so I want to get the table sorted out. Okay. A little bit of balsa cut, that will fit, should fit in that hole. Yep, nice. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to sound like Granville there, Granville, cut that down the middle. going to cut this right down the middle, and then I'm going to make this into 2 shutters, which I'm actually going to put. I could have them closed, but I think I've got enough room on either side of the window to have them kind of open. So, draw in some planks into my balsa. Love working with balsa because it's so soft and easy to do this to. One side. And the other. I need to find. I'm going to mount a little piece of balsa on either side of the window frame that they can then stick to it. But essentially, that's going to do that. There. Another one on the other side. So I need some cardboard. Thin cardboard. That'll do it. That's a box from IKEA from a different project. Another project I've got on the go. A work project. So basic hinges are literally going to be little strips of card. I'll stick to the balsa. Then I'm going to stick around into the window, and then I'll cut it off. So there we are, there's my window. A little bead of Yoo-hoo, 2 beads of Yoo-hoo across there. Take my thin bits of cardboard, stick them on. 1, 2, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this window open at the back, and then I'm going to do another one which I'll have closed at the front. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a minute. Let's do the other side. So, along with making my shutters, I also think I want windows in here, and I haven't used these for a long time. These are fly slots, plastic cheap ones. And what I'm going to do is I like it because they give me this kind of like crisscross thing, and I'm going to get my template, draw on to my fly swat, crisscross shape, and see if I cut one out. And I might have like little windows, leaded windows. Be cool. Well, it'll be cool if it works. It'll be a bit. If it doesn't work, it'll be a bit crap. Let's see what happens. Find a Sharpie. Permanent, non-permanent. So I did this a long time ago with B&B models. I'll do it again. So all I'm doing is I've got to store these. Took me some time to find them because they're in a box. But effectively, I cut all the handles off a long time ago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around. Draw around my little window template. Obviously going to have to go with the inside of this line. Get a pair of clippers and try and clip out, or standing off. Let's go with standing off first. See how that works. I'll try and clip out and cut out plastic, some lead lining. Now, of course, It's actually way too big lead lining really for the scale of the thing, but it will it sells, it does the trick really well, and it's going to add a level of whimsy to an already whimsical table. So you never know, this might just work, boys and girls, and anybody else who's watching. Curve around the top is going to be the tricky part. I could almost do that with a pair of scissors, I reckon. Certainly a pair of clippers. Let's give that a go, see what happens. It ain't going to be pretty. Fiddly diddly do. Individually cut through all the different bits of plastic. Go. One window now. Zoom out. Oh, tip up. There's my house, and there is my lead lining, not fitting the hole. Nearly right. Okay, tiny little bit of trimming required. Real easy. Trim off tiny little bits because you can't untrim it. And in the very nature of this model, it kind of fits, which is just like, oh yeah, look, clicked in place. Stuck it down the base now. Look at that, that's not bad. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to run a bit of balsa up the middle there. Not the original bit, mind you. Bit of thin balsa, it's about 2 mils thick. I'm going to cut a bit to go out the middle. We'll stick that in. I'll put a separate bit in the middle there. That's kind of neat. Where's my template? It's going to be that high. Alright, this is a quick experiment. I've just cut out a bit of 5mm XPS foam, and I've taken one of the tree stumps from the wood section, and what I'm going to do is I want to sink it into this XPS foam, but rather than doing anything else, all I'm doing is applying a bunch of solvent based yoo-hoo to it, because I'm pretty damn sure that this is going to melt the foam to the point that I can drop the tree stump in. We'll see what happens. I quite like the idea of having a tree stump outside with a wood axe in it, so I'm going to squidge that down. Squidge that down into the foam, and then I'll trim up the foam. I'll have a wood, like a little tree trunk stump kind of like thing with a wood axe. Now, okay, so my chimney's mostly stuck. It's kind of worked. So I've put lead lining in my front window. I haven't bothered putting shutters on there yet. I've added a few little stones, and actually my little tree trunks come out alright. That needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that down, and I've got a stick, straight stick. I have a little border roll thing from the garden, and I'm going to just cut this up into a few bits of firewood that I'm going to scatter around on the floor as well. But before I stick all that down, what I really need to do is sand the base, because these need to sit on top of the sand. And I've got at least one bit of branch that I didn't use on the trees yesterday. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to stick that down there like that. It's coming in nicely. Right, okay, so this very ordinary model is starting to come together and look a little bit more interesting and suitable for a Magathea tabletop. It's just so rectangular, actually. It's just very, very rectangular. And I know houses were, but you know, blocky and stuff. But I reckon it's going to look pretty cool when it's painted. I like the shutters on the back, look neat. And yeah, for the minute I'm totally leaving the roof off, and I'm not putting any detail inside, but I'm leaving it possible to do that. So I'm going to need to Mod Podge, seal the chimney, and put sand on the base. That's the next job. Find the sand actually is the problem. Right, so this is the point I'm at for the moment. I've got to wait for some glue to go off, so I'm going to go and do something else. I'm going to go and work on some trees. Base is sanded. I've added shutters and lead line into the windows. The stones around the front, and now the chimney has been Mod Podged sealed, so we can spray this when it's ready to go. Starting to make it look like quite a nice little model. Then when that's dry, I'm going to add my little wooden tree stump and my chopped up firewood. Well, that's kind of cool. Alright, okay. So let's go and have a look at some trees. Here's the cottage now. I've done the chimney, and I've put a bit of thick card on there, chimney pot there. This is now all sealed in Mod Podge, and I've got my windows in, and on the back there's a window with shutters as well, which I'm very pleased with. There's the chimney on the end. Now there's my little chopping block, and what is going to end up happening is I'm going to end up putting lumps of wood on the floor around it, and I'll probably have to find an axe as well, I should think. But that's all kind of cool. I like that. So this is now looking more of a war gamey kind of like model than previously. I mean, it was okay, but now it's going to look better on the tabletop. So I've got to undercoat this and paint this. In the meantime, this is one of the ruined sections that my wife has now painted. Heidi's painted for me, painted for us, because we're going to play on there. It's a pretty nice bit of thing. I mean, it's interesting. It's weird. I'm not sure again what the material is. It's a resin of some kind. It took a remarkable amount of time for these three bits to stick with Gorilla super glue. It's good stuff. But they're on there. They look alright. That's going to look quite nice and passable. And then here's one of the woods. I'll detail, put one of the other woods together. They're okay. There are lots of options, which was kind of cool. I liked that. And the other one I'm going to do, I'll probably I might either use one of the tree stumps in one of these slots, and maybe not have the bush. In fact, I'm tempted to actually take the bush and stick it on the house model. That might be kind of cool. There are a few extra ruined brick walls, which I might, with the other ruined section, let's come back here, I might base that and put some other ruins out there, so it's the ruins of a slightly larger house. But this is quite nice. I had to fill a bit of gaps around the base here, where again it's done with a kind of like a ball and socket kind of fitting. That didn't quite work, so I had to fill there. You get lots of options of different ways of doing the trees, and what I've decided to do is, in a box, I came across a box of lichen that I bought from a Christmas store after Christmas. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add lichen to my trees like that, stick them on, give a bit of life to the whole thing, which would be kind of cool. I'm just draping that there for a minute. Because I don't really want ruined trees. I don't need to have ruined trees. I can have trees. So I'm going to wield some Bostik glue, and I'm going to stick on lichen there. It's going to give more of a splash of colour to the tabletop for a start, which would be nice. Yeah, so that's going to look pretty cool. I think that's what we're going to do next. So let's find a Bostik glue. Yoo-hoo. And this tree over here. These are quite nice. The trees are quite good actually, and what I'm trying to do is really just take the starting table to the different level. I'll show you the miniatures in a minute. It's Good Friday. It's the Friday after Salute, so it's like 6 days, a week since Salute, and I'm rather pleased. Heidi was super inspired by these models. She likes beasties and creatures and stuff. I've tried to get her into burrows and badgers, but I think it's too nice, not exotic enough for her. Whereas the rhino, which is very Disney Robin Hood, but the hyena character is a bit more grimdark, and the other characters in this faction is pretty cool. So well, there's a tree now likened up. Looks alright. Put some glue onto this one here. Lower boughs first of all. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Now it's interesting, we always tend to paint our trees brown, but of course most trees aren't brown in real life, but it's what we're programmed to expect. So our trees are brown. Oh, that's cool, look great. Glue on the top. Literally, I'm going to leave this bottom branch down here, I think. Plantless. Now I've got another one of these woods tree sections, so I'm leaving myself enough lichen, I hope, to put foliage on the other trees as well. And I'll stick them together in a different kind of way. That'll do. Okay, let's put the rest of that back in the box. £2.99 that box of lichen was. Okay, and then while we're here, let's just clean these down, because so here's my tree. And here are the beast-shaped tribe figures from the start set. Painted by Heidi. Look cracking on the tabletop. Really nice. My wife hasn't picked up a paintbrush and painted wargames figures in 25 years. She used to paint when we were very young, before we had kids, and this lot I've got going straight away. Well pleased. So they're really, really lovely, and I have painted, more at the point, I've coloured in the vampire hunters in this box set, and they're mostly done. They're certainly done enough for us to play games. Now, interestingly, I've had fun with these because there we go. Heidi's figures are better than mine. she's always a better painter than me. But what I've done with these, I've been playing around with acrylic pens this week. I wanted to have a go to see if I could colour in figures rather than paint them. And actually, all 4 of these figures were done with acrylic pens, with the exception that the red on the coats was Mephiston red from Citadel, because I just couldn't get a pen to do a vibrant enough red. But apart from that, everything else, all the other colours on there have come from an acrylic pen, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's never going to replace painting figures properly, I don't think. But to get painting figures quick and get them on the table, and no mess, no fuss, sat in front of the TV with a set of paints, it's really cool. So we are now at the point where, when I've got my house painted, when this is painted, and this will be painted hopefully by the end of Easter Sunday, we'll be in a position to play. So I better start reading the rules, because I want to give it a go. But yeah, so we'll see how this is. When this is painted, I think that's going to be the end of video 1, and then we're going to try out the game as the second video. Well pleased. Okay, I'm on the last bits of just making this presentable. And that is, I'll put some flock on some of these models. I'm going to start with this. So, first things first, before I actually add some flock, we're going to add some stone tufts. Stone tufts. Grassy tufts with stone. From Fabled Fey. After a set of tufts, a couple of cardboard blocks. I need to stick some of these on. I'll just pull the roof off there. The base of the house here. Down here by the stones. And the front door. And then add a bit of flock as well, and then this model will be pretty much ready for the tabletop, which is cool. I'm using a little pair of tweezers to take these off here. Stick them down there. Oh, nice. Round the back by the chimney. Okay. Quite a few people now make grass tufts and bits and pieces. I find the different ones from Fabled Fey work really nicely. These ones with stones on are really cool. Gives you that extra bit of texture to your base. Stick another one just about. Yeah, like that. And then I'm going to add some green stuff. You can see we haven't done anything about the inside of this model. I haven't done anything about the inside of this model because as yet, without having played the game, I don't actually know if the insides of the models are important. I've made the roof come off. Apart from anything else, we could use it in B&B games and various other bits and pieces without too much bother. Then it might be a thing that I want to have the roof off and the characters going. But actually for Bloodfields, I don't actually know. I haven't explored the rules that far. There we go. So just some nice little stony tufts here. An extra bit of layer now. I'm going to put some green, regular woodland scenic flock, the standard flock that I use, onto this model as well. So I'll put that to one side. Okay, so I'm just got some Mod Podge, and I'm not going to cover the whole of this basically in glue and flock, because actually it's got some nice sculpted elements on it. What I want to do is add some green kind of grass areas to it that will help blend into different battlefields that I use. In the first instance, I'm going to use, to play this game, we're going to use the Bloodfields battle board that I got with the starter bundle we were given at Salute, because you know, I want to try out the whole thing, chatting with the guys at Titan Forge. You know, all of that, all of this isn't necessary, they say, to play the game. You know, you certainly don't need to have the Bloodfields wood or the Titan Forge, this, that and other. You can use any stuff, but yeah, right now I want to look what the whole game looks like, so we're going to use the Titan Forge stuff. So I'm using Woodland Scenics blended turf here, which is very fine. I'm literally just going to drop that on where the Mod Podge is, pinching it on. I don't think I've got a box with this in, so this is just coming out straight out of the bag. Not necessarily the most efficient way of doing it. Still, of course, the nice thing about the Mod Podges is it will just dry matte and clear, so anywhere that doesn't end up with flock on it won't make any difference to the model. I'll literally throw that on top of the glue and then shake it off. Do the same to the house. Muddy bits round by the front door, put in against the rock and stuff. Might even put some of this on the roof of the house as well. Again, give a bit more texture to it. Back, no plan here. Take it right down the edge. This then means if I use this on my own modular gaming boards, which is pretty much flocked in the same stuff, it'll sit really nicely on there. So there we go. And I think while I'm looking at the trees and the wood, to get the house to work alongside them, I think I'm going to get a little bit of this lichen and stick it on one of the back wall sections on the house. They'll make them go together better then. Right, okay, so that's flock. Could add a little bit to the ruins, couldn't I? Section out there. Let's add a bit around the base. up the wall. It's been there a little while. Something crept into the house a bit. Alright, slot done. Okay, so here we go. That's all the elements of this starter bundle painted, ready to play with. I do have a baggie. I've kind of combined it all together. There is another ruin section and another wood in there that I could put together. I don't think that all came part of the starter bundle. That's kind of extra stuff. And there is, along with the ruin section, there are two separate wall pieces which I haven't based up and mounted. What I'm thinking of doing, actually taking these and the other ruin and making a slightly bigger ruin with it. But I think we've got enough elements now to put it all on the Bloodfields battle board that we got as well, and actually have a go at playing the game. So let's have a look at the individual elements then. First of all, there are the two warbands. The warband in the starter set that I worked on are called Vampire Hunters. I've discovered some lore about these guys. They're one of the main warbands in the whole kind of like game. They come from Steamforge City and they fought against this overwhelming tide of undead at some point. They are somewhat fairly kind of standard witch huntery type figures that look similar to other games and could probably fit quite well into other game systems if you're playing, you know, miniatures agnostic games of Mordheim, for example. The figures I quite enjoyed. For me, the interesting thing about them, as I think I've said earlier in this video, is that I actually painted these mostly with acrylic pens, which I've never used before. I didn't get one of the big wargaming companies kind of like acrylic pens. I just used bog standard ones that I bought off Amazon. And while they're not quite the same as using brushes, it was quite convenient because I could sit in front of the telly just with a set of pens and paint these figures. And I'm happy with the paint job that they've got up to a point. The point being that if you're 30 centimetres away from them and they look great on the tabletop, then that's fine. This is what I'm trying to get here. These miniatures, I'm not sure what the actual designation of the kind of resin that they're cast in. It doesn't necessarily lend itself to super crisp detail like some other figure ranges. They can't compete with the big boys like Games Workshop, but they do make nice models. They are relatively clutter free. A lot of figures, Workshop ones, I often find I've got way too much kit on them and they're far too complicated to paint in many ways. These were pretty nice. So from that point of view, I'm happy with my vampire hunters, and my wife's warband, the ones that she took a shine to, and why I think this project's going to be good for us, are the Beast Shape tribe, and the Beast Shape tribe are a tribe of shapeshifters from somewhere called Blood Moon Bay. It used to be called Crescent Moon Bay, but then this bunch of pirate ogres turned up and slaughtered everybody who lived in Crescent Moon Bay, and the humans who lived there retreated to the inward parts of this island and communed with the forest, and for somehow or another, due to odd vagaries of magic, they had discovered the ability to change shape and become shapeshifters. So you've got these 4 characters in this warband, 3 of which are definitely anthropomorphic animals. You've got the rhino and hyena and some kind of wild cat, and then the 4th one is the leader of the group, and it says in the lore that I've got that the usually the beast-shaped tribe warbands are led by a shapeshifter in human form, because he can then communicate with all the different kinds of animals. And Heidi took an absolute shine to these models. They had great fun painting these, and like I said, they're the first wargaming model she's painted for about 25 years, and he's very keen to get some of the other ones in the range. So we're really pleased with these. They're ready to go on the tabletop, and along with that then we painted the scenery. The scenery elements are not necessary for the game, or you don't have to use Bloodfields and Titanforge scenery, but this all came with it, so we thought we'd give it a go. I like this little wood section there, quite nice. The fact that you could build the tree in a whole bunch of different configurations means you get interesting different shapes, and you've got the little plug-in bush or a plug-in tree stump, which works really well. And of course took the tree stump, one of the plug-in tree stumps, and used it on along with the cottage kind of like model. So the wood is quite a nice little thing. It's got a nice sculpted base, and by the time I've added lichen to it to actually put foliage on the trees, I think it's quite cool, and I'm definitely going to make the other one as well. And they will work perfectly well on other tabletops. They'll work perfectly well in my Blood Bowl, not Blood Bowl. But they'll work perfectly well in my Burrows and Badgers games if I want to, as I have the extra little copse and woods, especially on smaller tables. I think they're fairly pricey. They work out about 25 quid for that one base, but actually it's quite a nice thing. It's quite versatile, and it paints up really nicely. I've got to say, at this point, Heidi painted all of the scenery. I've made all various bits and pieces, and she found something out of that, so she painted that. It paints up really nice. Then you got the ruin. The ruin, although it has got these extra wall sections that I haven't used, yeah, it's a nice little thing. Awkward to glue, I've got to admit. It wasn't super intuitive. You had where the different elements got stuck on the base. I suppose you could move them around a little bit, and you could certainly scatter the broken bits around. Took a while for even Gorilla super glue to go off and stick that together, but now it's there, really good and solid. Nice little elements on the floor, broken up pottery and the odd weapon and that kind of thing. Looks pretty cool. Again, if I was going to make a ruin like that, I could make it out of hardboard and XPS foam for less money, but I'm an experienced wargamer, and I really love modelling. For somebody who's not a big fan of making terrain and wants to get something on the tabletop pretty quick, it's a really useful piece of kit. You can move the models easily through it. I can easily see that the models won't have any problem moving through that at all. And then moving on last of all then to the cottage. I found this quite a challenge to stick together, to be quite honest. The individual pieces, the square wall sections, meant that it was the way they're cast, and again the I don't know whether it was I wasn't using the right kind of glue. I was using super glue. Maybe if I'd used solvent-based adhesive like I normally do with Yoo-hoo, they might have gone together easier. What looks like so even with the little mortise and tenon kind of like the dimples and the little nubbly bits, it was still fiddly to put together. It took drying time, gluing time, but actually it goes together quite nicely, and it was pretty sturdy when I added it to a base, and I'm really happy with the way that I've kind of added the extra details. The big gaping holes look much better with the kind of fly swat lead lining in. I like the little wooden shutters on the back, and the chimney addition is pretty cool. I think because I don't know the nature of this game yet, and I would want to be able to use this in other games. Of course, I've left the roof off. The roof can come apart, and I can add detail in later if I like. But I think that if I'd stuck that on, the whole model would be way more rigid and it wouldn't need a base. You could just plonk it down on the table. But the nature of the way that I make models, basing it has made it stronger, and then I like the option of being able to take the roof off. If the game warrants figures going inside models, that's going to work for me really well, and I'll go back and add detail to it too. But at this point, we don't really need to. So I think we're totally ready to start playing Bloodfields. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. This video has then been very much about the putting it together, and it's about 10 days since Salute now, and I have work and all sorts of other things to get in the way. So in the space effectively of a week, we got the whole model set of stuff put together and ready to play, and I'm very excited about playing this. We're going to play our first games this weekend, get the working week out of the way. We've got a weekend at home, and I'm really excited to actually get a tabletop game in with my wife, because we haven't played. She hasn't played a tabletop game, hasn't really wanted to play a tabletop game for a good number of years now. So this is, I'm hopefully going to be excited to find how much she remembers and really enjoying playing tabletop games, and I'm hoping that the rules are going to be straightforward enough for us to be able to pick them up quite quickly. I'm busy reading the rules. They're a downloadable PDF from the Titan Forge website, or from the Bloodfields website, one or the other, but they're certainly a PDF, and I know there's a third edition underway, which is one of the reasons why there's not a lot of fluff, a lot of lore around at the moment, because I think some of it might be being rewritten. But I wanted to get hold of some of it because I wanted to get my head around these different factions that I was looking at. So if you've enjoyed this video and you've liked the look of the models, or the actual figures, or the scenery, leave a comment down below. If you've enjoyed this video and you're intrigued to see how this game plays, then make sure you watch the next one in this series, because we're going to play this out on the tabletop. And if we enjoy it, I'm sure we're going to try and get hold of some other figures from this range. I know certainly Heidi really fancies painting up some of the other figures in the beast shape range, and I've looked at some of the other figures in the Bloodfields range. The tinkering gnomes really tickle me, and so did the ogre pirates. They look really kind of cool too. So there are a number of other ranges that we fancy getting our hands on. So check out the next video. If you like this, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave comments down below. Oh, and while I'm here, it reminds me, Patreon members, my Patreon members, it's time for another competition. It's very simple. What do you mean, Patreon? You don't know I've got a Patreon? Of course I've got a Patreon. Look, it's at patreon.com/MagatheaBuilderWorlds. If you're one of my paying patrons, you get to enter the competitions where you get to make a suggestion for a piece of scenery which fits on a 12-inch by 12-inch by 12-inch kind of space, and I will make it. All you got to do is come up with the ideas. We've made stuff for, what have I done? I've done Burrows and Badgers and Necromunda and Fallout and Silver Bayonet, and various other game systems too, which has been lots of fun. If you think patrons that you would like to have me make a piece of scenery for you, all you got to do is suggest it to me, and by the time we get to the other side of the first May bank holiday, so about the 6th of May, I'll make a decision which one we're going to make, and we're going to have a crack at it. Whether that's Judge Dredd or Bolt Action or Warhammer the Old World, that'll be a good one, or Bloodfields. All you got to do is come up with an idea of what you'd like me to make to fit on a 12 by 12 by 12 piece of terrain, and I'll pick the one that I like the look of most of all, and we'll make it, and that person will get that model for free, gratis. Well, apart from the fact they've been a patron, they've been contributing to my Patreon. So, thank you very much for watching Magathea Builder Worlds. Make sure you tune into the next Bloodfields video, which will be coming very soon, after I've actually played a game and rolled some dice. This has been Magathea Builder Worlds. I'll see you soon.